At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Sports presents Josh Graham.
March Madness front and center on the Josh Graham Show. Michigan already into the Sweet 16 as a winner today. Michigan State and Louisville facing off as we speak. Michigan State on a run to start the second half, leading Pat Kelsey's Cardinals by 9 currently. Timeout, Louisville. But the actual NCAA tournament action could take a back seat right now because of a developing story in Chapel Hill. Reading the tea leaves and being quite close to the situation geographically, this show is based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, about 90 minutes away from campus in Chapel Hill. It sure seems as if North Carolina is in the process of removing Hubert Davis as the men's basketball coach. And if those rumblings are true, and that smoke does in fact reveal a fire, this would be an alarming decision on several levels. For one, a coaching change here would be a reactionary decision based on a singular, ugly NCAA tournament loss. Now, North Carolina fans might say, no, this is something that we've seen for years, and this is something that had to happen. No, it isn't. It's based on Thursday night. For weeks, everybody over there, anybody you would talk to would say, Hubert's done a nice job riding the ship without a top 5 NBA draft pick for the last month. North Carolina hasn't had a player selected in the top 5 of the NBA draft in 21 years. They had one in Caleb Wilson. Their record was 19-5. They were a borderline top 10 team when he was in there. They beat Duke, one of 2 teams to beat Duke this year. And even after they lost him, Hubert finished the season with a winning mark, 5-4, beat a couple of tournament teams, beat this Louisville team, beat Clemson. And so the feeling was, regardless of what happened in the NCAA tournament, Hubert was going to be fine. But because Carolina blew a 19-point lead, and that was the story from Thursday's slate, and it was talked about on all the Friday shows, everybody is piling on North Carolina, the reaction from the money people was to go nuclear. This doesn't feel like it's being driven by the leadership of North Carolina. This seems to be the money people, the fans driving things, or at least money people reacting to the angry fans on social media. And as one coach told me in regards to a similar situation a few years ago where a decision seemed to be driven by a fan base, if you give power to the fans who are tweeting, welcome to hell, brother. And this is the same donor base that forced Bill Belichick on AD Bubba Cunningham, who didn't want to hire him. How did that go? Hey, let's do the splashy thing. Let's hire Bill. Or in this case, let's fire Hubert Davis and then bah! You should be concerned about this. Bubba is on the way out. They have a new incoming AD and Steve Newmark who might be making the decision. Maybe it's Bubba. Maybe it's the money people. Maybe it's the chancellor who, in a hilarious twist, owns a degree from Duke. Lee Roberts. It's a mess figuring out who's driving the bus exactly on these decisions. So that's on one count why this is alarming. Secondarily, a coaching change would likely mark the end of Dean Smith's Carolina family in Chapel Hill. North Carolina basketball is going to be, if they make a change, more different than it's been in any of our lifetimes, if they make a change. Since the 1950s, the program has been led by either Dean Smith himself or a Dean disciple. Dean doing things a certain way, and Roy Williams want to follow in those footsteps, or Bill Guthridge, certainly Hubert Davis. It didn't quite work out with Matt Doherty. They've only fired one head coach since the early 50s. If they make this move, there is no coach with Carolina ties you're replacing Hubert Davis with. You might have said, well, Wes Miller, that guy's pretty good at Cincinnati, but then Cincinnati just fired Wes Miller. So he's available. Don't think he's going to be the guy. It's going to be an outsider, just like this incoming AD, Steve Newmark from NASCAR, who owns a degree from Virginia, or the chancellor who went to Duke, of all places. Even Bubba Cunningham is a Notre Dame guy. If they make a coaching change, if North Carolina does, it also probably means the end of one of college basketball's most iconic venues, the Dean E. Smith Center, where North Carolina's called home for the last 40 years. The administration recognizes the name of the game in today's landscape is revenue. And they are in a conference where they are locked in their TV deal through 2036, and we know it's 2036. Just ask Clemson, just ask Florida State, who sued the league for football reasons in the last couple of years and ended up settling. They got to gain revenue somehow. And they see that there is a lot more revenue to be gained opening a new building and then adding real estate opportunities that you have a cut out of surrounding that building. So this move, if they were to make it, would be transformative. North Carolina in the next few years will be playing in a new gym. It would be a separation from Dean Smith for the first time since the 50s. It would be dramatic. Lastly, though, relaying it to this month, relaying it to the rest of the country, because you might be saying, Josh, are you really talking about a hypothetical coaching change when there's actual March Madness to talk about? Yes. A coaching change would completely transform the tone of the NCAA tournament, too. Many believe that North Carolina is the best job in all of college basketball. And it's a job that has never opened up beyond members of the Carolina family, once again, since the 50s. So who knows who might be interested in it? Any team that advances far in this tournament is going to have their coach attached to this job if it were to open, and will probably be inundated with questions about North Carolina. Maybe it's Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. Maybe it's TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State. Maybe even champions such as Todd Golden at Florida or Dan Hurley at UConn. Who knows? We could have a redo of the 2003 title game. Roy Williams was pressed by Bonnie Bernstein. If you're young, you probably have no idea what we're talking about here. If you have been around, this might just be a fun trip down memory road then. If you need a refresher of how that went down, here's how it sounded courtesy of CBS.
Very understandably, you didn't want to address this issue during the week, but many people out there with the game over want to know what your level of interest is in the North Carolina job, Coach.
Bonnie, I could give a flip about what those people want. As a journalist, you have to ask that question. I understand that, but as a human being, that's all those people that want that answer to know right now, they're not very sensitive.
If they offer you the job, though, would you be willing to take it?
I haven't thought about that for 1 second. And the guy in your ear that told you have to ask that question, as a journalist, that's fine. But as a human being, that's not very nice because it's not very sensitive. And I got to think that in tough times that people should be more sensitive. I could give about North Carolina.
I could give a bleep about North Carolina. And then a week later, he's given the press conference. He's the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Roy going back home. It'd be great if one of these coaches... See, I'll be at the Final Four in Indianapolis. Maybe I'm going to be Bonnie Bernstein, Will Dalton. Maybe I can be the guy who's walking up to Nate Oates if Alabama makes a run. Coach, if you're offered the job, would you take it? I couldn't give a bleep about North Carolina, Josh. Don't tempt me.
I think it's right there on the table for you. You should do it.
See, you are the emotionally attached North Carolina Tar Heel fan. Will Dalton, the producer of this program.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a mistake to fire Hubert Davis because I have no idea who the hell would be making the hire, and we just saw the last time this leadership team made a hire, it was Bill Belichick, and that seemed reactionary, and that seemed them more interested in making a splash than making the best hire of a football coach. Where are you at on Hubert?
I think it's time. I was somebody who did not think they'd be making a move this offseason. I thought maybe next year, inevitably, he would have a ton of pressure on him more than ever going into the season. But, I mean, the standard hasn't been met. It just hasn't. And I think it's time to go out of the family. And if you do that, maybe you can offer a Todd Golden, a Hurley, a Nate Oates.
1 second, though. You don't think the standard was met this year until Caleb Wilson got hurt? What is the standard if not being a borderline top 10 team and beating Duke?
I mean, it's not getting bounced in the first round and crushed by Duke at
Caleb
Cameron
Wilson.
and then in the ACC tournament.
No Caleb Wilson.
I understand that. But even in years past, it hasn't been met.
All right. Just disagree.
That championship run is getting far in the rearview mirror now.
49-10. 310-840-4910. That was 4 years ago where they went to the title game. Blew a 16-point lead, 15-point lead at halftime to Kansas. Nobody seems to really remember that, though, because of what happened 2 days prior to that where they extinguished Coach K in what it turned out to be Coach K's final game of his college basketball career. That's kind of nuts. So we'll pose the question to you. If North Carolina makes a change, how big of a fish can they reel in? Now, listen to the question we're asking. It's not who are they going to hire. It's if the goal is to make the splashiest hire you can, who is the biggest name you think would take the North Carolina job? I do see a lot of the jokes where the same people that hired Bill Belichick, oh, they're going to hire Phil Jackson. Bring him in. Look at all those rings. That's what you need to do. And Michael Jordan's going to come back the same way Lawrence Taylor's been floating around on campus. Yes, that's the way to go. Let's live in the 80s and 90s. 310-840-4910 if you want in. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Michigan opens up second round action, a winner. Here's how the final seconds sounded their win against St. Louis, courtesy of our Westwood One teammate, Jason Benetti in Buffalo.
The Billikens with a game effort. One more back cut. McCautry blocked by Goodman. He wiped it away. Oscar Goodman with a couple of memories in his pocket. and the Michigan Wolverines are all smiles. It's a maize and blue storm again, this time into the Sweet 16.
Let today serve as a reminder of Michigan's cakewalk path in the Midwest region. Good Lord, is it set up for the Wolverines. After leading wire to wire against 16-seed Howard, as expected, Michigan drew yet another mid-major in round 2. As fun of a novelty Robbie Avila is, better known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the goggles, he was no match for this massive Michigan front line of Mara and Mo Johnson. Avila was held to 9 points, 3 of 13 shooting. It was the Axel Lindenborg show. He had a bonkers dunk in transition, had an alley-oop slam as well on his way to 25 points. They're guaranteed to get a compromised team in the Sweet 16. It's either going to be Alabama, because an Alabama team likely without Aiden Holloway, because that situation's getting worse and worse if you continue to read the updates on that. Stay off the weed. 2 pounds of it. And now they went through his phone and they think he's trying to distribute and sell it. That's based on some of the police reports that we're seeing. That's not good. You're probably not getting him back in the tournament. It's either going to be that Alabama team or Texas Tech, who lost one of the best players in the country, JT Toppin, to an injury last month. The Wolverines, knock on wood, have remained very healthy, and good for them. But let's not forget, they're the 1 seed in their bracket. Who's the 2 seed? Oh, that'd be Iowa State. You know, the Iowa State team that saw All-American star Joshua Jefferson go down with an ankle injury yesterday and couldn't put any pressure on his foot as he was getting off the court. If they get knocked out by Kentucky tomorrow, maybe it's the Wildcats that get in the Elite Eight. You know, a Wildcats team that is missing not 1, not 2, but 3 rotation players due to injury, including a lottery pick and their point guard, Jalen Lowe. So it is all set up for Michigan to get to Indianapolis. They have easily the easiest path of any 1 seed, because Duke, who's in action at 5:15, easily has the most difficult draw, despite the fact you'd think they'd have the easiest. They were the overall number 1 seed. That's supposed to be how this works. If they beat TCU at 5:15, they'll draw either Kansas, so Flory Badunga and Bill Self and Darren Peterson, or you get Zuby Ejiofor in St. John's and Rick Pitino next Friday night in D.C. And if you win that, congratulations. Then you're probably getting Tom Izzo in Michigan State or Dan Hurley in UConn. The next easiest draw probably belongs to Arizona. Arkansas is the only team that probably can knock out the Wildcats. However, don't write off the High Point Panthers tonight against Darius Acuff's group. Geographically speaking, Chapel Hill's 90 minutes that way from where I sit. High Point's about 40 minutes from where I stay. There's a reason why between High Point and North Carolina and Duke, they call the state of North Carolina the Hoop State. We're going to get a check-in from Las Vegas. Kelly in Vegas, Stewart, Ariel Epstein, the prop queen, going to join us at the top of next hour. There's a lot for us to do. Josh Jacobs taking your calls. 310-840-4910. Appreciate him. Appreciate Will Dalton. We're just getting off and rolling. And as much as I love college basketball, we all do around here at Westwood One, we might have to wait for some more fun to happen in this dance. And we'll tell you why next on The Josh Graham Show.
It's tourney time, and you'll hear every game, every upset, every unforgettable moment on the Westwood One Sports app. That's the Westwood One Sports app. This is March. This is your home of the NCAA tournament. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
This is some of the new Luke Combs album. He is the pride of North Carolina. This has been a North Carolina start to the program with the Tar Heels coaching situation. Got some Duke news to pass along here. Tracy Wolfson of CBS just posted. Patrick Gamba of Duke arrived to the arena in Greenville on a scooter, but John Shire said it's precautionary, so he could stay off his feet as long as possible. He's expected to play, but since he hasn't played since the Carolina game, expect him to have his minutes managed. Luke Combs, diehard football fan, diehard Carolina Panthers. If you're watching us, which we encourage you to do, on YouTube, on X, you can see I got my Appalachian State football helmet here in the studio. He loves his Mountaineers, loves the Carolina Panthers. Luke Combs, while promoting his album, do we have this sound? While promoting this album that he just put out, Luke introduced the world. This was maybe the best piece of sound I heard all week because it made me laugh, it made me smile. He introduced the world to the North Carolina-based restaurant chain Cookout. Here he was explaining the magic of this spot on the Hot Wing Show, Hot Ones.
Imagine like Chick-fil-A without all the like helpful camp counselors that stand outside. And like you come up and it's just a guy that's like, he's from the South, but his attitude is giving Philly in the window. And he's like, Cookout, what do you want? You know, and you're like, I think, and it's like you can hear him being like, come on. Like you can feel the guy in the thing. It's like, big double tray, cheese, bacon, mayo, ketchup, corn dog, Cajun cheese fries, sweet tea. Like I can fire it off like that. When people hear me order it that quick and they're like, what did you just order? I'm like, I ordered a double cheeseburger with bacon and ketchup. I just said it really fast. And the guy is going to know when I pull up to the window, he's like, this guy knows ball.
Nothing will make me smile more than somebody using the expression that somebody knows ball for things that are not sports related whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody were to dap you up properly, it's just the perfect hand placement, the perfect sound it makes, and somebody says, you know ball. It just put a big smile on my face. But here's the part where, Will, I'm not going to lean on you whatsoever because you've been on exactly 5 planes in your life and have never been west of the Eastern time zone in your life. So you're not the one to answer this question. But actually, let's start here. What Luke is describing about the restaurant chain Cookout is true. What is your go-to Cookout tray? He described getting a big double cheeseburger and all those things, and he just rattled it off, and yes, the guy's going to know you know ball. But what is your go-to order just to paint the picture of what you might get, what's possible at this Luke Combs favorite?
So I'm a big barbecue tray guy. And what I'll typically do for my sides is I'll go chicken quesadilla, and then I'll get a chicken wrap too.
You writing this down, Josh Jacobs? You can get barbecue, and when he says barbecue, he means like pulled pork. That's what he means. And as sides, you can get a chicken quesadilla and a chicken wrap. Or if you don't want that, you can have a corn dog as a side, Josh.
A corn
You
dog?
fire that up. You can, absolutely.
Magical.
That's the magic of Cookout. But I appreciate that. My order, if I were rattling it off like Luke Combs, big double burger with mustard, ketchup, bacon, no cheese, chicken quesadilla, Cajun fries, cheer wine to drink. If you don't know what cheer wine is, you don't know ball. 310-840-4910. What is the best regional restaurant chain in America? Because unlike Will, I am well-read, and I am well-traveled. Jacobs, I know immediately, given where you sit and where your roots are, you just want to, like, stick your chest out and hammer the camera in front of you, hammer the microphone, and say In-N-Out Burger, right?
I do like In-N-Out Burger, yes. But I also like Baker's.
Is Whataburger better?
I like In-N-Out better, but I do love a Whataburger whenever I go to Texas. That's always a must for me. In the Inland Empire, there's Baker's Drive-Thru, which is really good. I always go there whenever I go to Palm Desert.
Is that a chain or is that just a restaurant?
No, it's a chain.
Okay. Just checking.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm familiar with, obviously, Culver's or Torchy's Tacos. That's a good one. In-N-Out Burger, Whataburger. Like, I've experienced them all. Like, in the Northeast, they'd say that I don't quite know what the qualifications for Wawa are. I don't, we get it. I've experienced it. If you're going to come in here from Cincinnati and suggest it's Skyline Chili, I'll fight you in the street. I'll take my shirt off and fight you in the street where you stand if you want to suggest Skyline Chili is the answer. But in North Carolina, I think most people, even nationally, with a tertiary understanding of the food scene in North Carolina, might have heard of Bojangles before. I think that's the chicken chain. Most people have heard that. But if you know ball around here, I think most people around here, as sacrilegious as it might sound, probably prefer Cookout from Bojangles. Probably. Luke, by the way, actually performing in Las Vegas tonight, where Kelly in Vegas and Ariel Epstein are going to join us at the top of next hour. You can chime in on our YouTube chat, as some are doing. Pine Needle, smash that like button. Does that help us at all? Ring the bell. How can I sound like a 16-year-old YouTuber? Help me out.
Subscribe for more
hit 1,000
content.
subscribers. We hit 1,000 subscribers last night. Yeah, subscribe for some more content and, smash that subscribe button if you want to.
Click the bell for notifications.
Hear all these things. Ring the bell. Do all those things. 310-840-4910. I sound old. Let's transition things to the Saturday slate, college basketball, what we're watching, what we're going to see, because it looks ugly. Thank goodness for Louisville, Michigan being somewhat close going down the stretch, because there might not be a lot of close that we see, at least on Saturday. On paper, it could get ugly. Starting with Duke TCU, 4 of the 6 games in the evening session, if we're to include Duke TCU at 5:15 Eastern time, double-digit point spreads attached to them. And this was after Michigan covered by a mile a demolition of St. Louis to start the day. Duke favored by 11.5. Houston A&M features the Cougs minus 10.5. Illinois VCU, it's the Illini by 10.5. And then you have the High Point Panthers as an 11.5-point dog against Arkansas. By the way, had an exclusive interview with High Point head coach Flynn Clayman this week, a guy who's making a lot of headlines. He joined the night show here at Westwood One Sports during the week a couple of days ago. You can find that on the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe! All that. Speaking of the Panthers, that is the only team that might be able to pull off an upset. It's not going to be TCU over Duke. Duke is going to play pretty motivated ball, you would think. If you read the comments of how they overlook Siena, it seems as if some are taking Thursday's performance to be about Patrick Gamba being hurt. But the reality is Duke won an ACC championship beating teams that are better than Siena without Patrick Gamba. That was more about Duke overlooking their opponent, which means, shall we say they're going to look a little bit crispy in just a bit? Venture to say that's probably what we're going to get. Sorry to TCU. Just doesn't look like a good matchup, especially if Gamba's playing. They don't really have a lot of size inside. Don't think that VCU is going to have much shot against Illinois. There's a reason why VCU trailed a Caleb Wilson-less North Carolina by 19 points. Illinois, too much offense for the Illini to keep up with. But you can't count out the High Point Panthers, given their high-octane style and how hot and cold Arkansas can be. It almost seems as if too much went well for Arkansas in their opener. There was no drama whatsoever. They shot it so well that you're bound for some type of regression later tonight. And that's why, especially given how High Point can score and get hot, that's a game to really keep an eye on. Last game of the day, that 12 v4 matchup. Also, don't sleep on A&M Houston. Buckyball's a real thing with the Aggies. And if they play like they did against St. Mary's, Houston could have issues. And remember when we were talking about the draw for Houston and, they got home games in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. That's unfair. Whoa, that's going to really help Houston's chances of getting to the Final Four. College Station, going back to geography, a quick geography lesson. College Station's only about an hour 15, maybe an hour and a half from Houston. So it might almost seem like a home game as well if the Aggies were to advance. I don't think they had the sixth man in college basketball the way they had the 12th man at Kyle Field. Here's where we get really nerdy. If you're watching on YouTube or on X, you can see these glasses. Got these big old frames. Hashtag big frame gang. And this sentence I'm about to say is going to reflect how much of a hoop nerd I am. Vanderbilt, Nebraska is the most fascinating game today. The game to most look forward to is Vanderbilt, Nebraska. And not because it has the tightest point spread. Michigan State, Louisville, small point spread. Texas, Gonzaga. But those games, they're less intriguing because you don't have Mikel Brown Jr. for the Cards. And you don't have Zags leader Braden Huff in the game. Doors, Huskers, it's a hoop nerd's dream because Vandy, so fun offensively with that backcourt tandem of Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles. But Nebraska might be the best defensive team they faced all year. It's either them or Florida. And you have to turn around on a quick one-day prep and deal with their size. That's going to be a challenge for Vanderbilt. It is. That's the game to circle that might be the best game of the day. That one, the sleepers, A&M Houston, even though it's a double-digit point spread, and yes, the High Point Panthers. That's what we're watching as well. Shout out to David who writes in, "You're still awake? I go to work, see you, and then get off, come home, and you're still on? What?" Yeah, it is kind of a quick turnaround. You think that a one-day prep is a quick turnaround. How about being on till 3 in the morning Eastern time and then back on at 4 in the afternoon the next day? Somebody who's going to have to learn about that experience is the Miami Hurricanes. You see how they got screwed? Miami played the last game of the night last night, beating Missouri, or Missouri, depending on your preferred pronunciation, beat them in St. Louis. And then the TV executives decided, yep, we're going to give you the 12:10 Eastern tip on Sunday. So you have 36 hours to prepare for a game. Meanwhile, Purdue played the first game of the day at that site on yesterday. That might be an advantage, an added advantage for the Boilers. Or it wasn't the first game of the day there, but it was certainly an earlier game. Some in the college basketball worlds are burying the mid-major for good. Are they right? And what is the best regional restaurant chain? What are we missing? 310-840-4910. All that next on the Josh Graham Show.
Your bracket already in trouble. Your favorite team. Nobody's safe. From tip-off to the Final Four, we've got every game on the Westwood One Sports app. From your official home of March Madness, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Fielding your submissions for the best regional restaurant chains across this great country. Getting some good ones. Portillo's in Chicago. Apparently sworn by our colleagues Chris Bleck and Adam Nadala. Dave suggests that. Seen a lot of Culvers. Art writes in that Culver's is better than Cookout is, which is what Luke Combs swears by. If you are in Virginia or Tennessee, Ken writes in Powell's Sudden Service. See Highway 55. This one's interesting. David says Dario's Hot Dogs. Rusty LaRue is the guy who runs Dario's. He is a former member of the Chicago Bulls when they were winning all those titles in the 90s with Michael Jordan. As we were talking about all this, Josh Jacobs started looking at the menu at Cookout, and he discovered a feature that Luke didn't hit on and that we didn't really talk about much, that there are at least 50 different flavors of milkshakes that you can have, specialty milkshakes at Cookout. It's like $1.50 for the milkshake. Did you find a flavor or a couple of flavors that catch your fancy?
Yeah, I love the caramel one. Sounds really good. The Oreo, the orange push-up, and also
What's the strangest one that you've seen? The one that maybe you're not wanting to be so adventurous.
Yeah, I don't. It's not really too adventurous, but I'm not crazy about. Red cherry doesn't sound too good. I love cheerwine, but as far as an ice cream, red cherry just doesn't seem to. And then also the pineapple one, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, pineapple I think is a little extreme for a milkshake. That's where I'm getting at. But glad to hear that you enjoy the menu. 310-840-4910 if you want in. A topic in college basketball today. Some are throwing dirt on the mid-major in college basketball. Jeff Goodman made this suggestion on his social media from the Field of 68. Jeff Borzello sending similar signals from ESPN. Guys, it's still way too soon to make this proclamation. Now, again, it hasn't stopped the pundits from making the case, and that case is this. It was a chalky tournament last year, not a ton of upsets. The Sweet 16 almost exclusively high majors. And then what we saw on Friday, yesterday, the favorites were 16-0 straight up. There are only 4 double-digit seeds left standing. So the working theory out there is, with the unlimited transfers and pay-for-play in today's college sports, all the talent on mid-major rosters, it's being poached. In the NCAA tournament, it's going to be chalk moving forward. High Point, though, pushes against this idea. As a 12 seed, they knocked off 5 seed Wisconsin. Flynn Clayman, who joined our show on Westwood One Sports Night earlier in the week. You can find that on our YouTube channel by searching Westwood One Sports Night. He had a very clear message he wanted to send after the game. After his Panthers pulled off the upset, this is the message he wanted to convey to the college basketball world.
It's pretty obvious to me that something needs to be done about this non-conference scheduling. High Point and Miami, Ohio are 2-0 in quad 1 games. We couldn't get games. They couldn't get games. Akron couldn't get games. UNCW couldn't get games. Belmont couldn't get games. We won 22 of our last 23 games, and we didn't move up 1 spot in the metrics. Not 1. We won 22 of our 23. We've won 25 games by double digits. That team right there is a fantastic team that beat 5 top 10 teams. If we can get games like this on neutral courts and some home games, I think we'd know who's really the best teams.
Now, you can parse the comments. None of the metrics moved us up 1 spot is a bit dramatic. Mike DeCourcy, for example, Hall of Fame sports writer from the Sporting News, noted one of the key metrics that the NCAA lists as a tool for its metrics had at the start of High Point's win streak, they were at 112 or 117th, something close to that. And by the end of their winning streak at the end of the regular season or the tournament, the conference tournament, they were sitting at 92. So it's not exactly true what he's talking about. The not wanting the scheduled in piece, fine. Updating his record, what he's talking about with the Miami University piece, 2-1 in quad 1 games now. Miami University didn't fare all that well against Tennessee, but as he noted, they did beat SMU They did beat SMU and Dayton. And that's the same Miami team that was debated whether they should get in or it should be Auburn as the last mid-major to get in. One of the most famous, probably the most famous Auburn basketball alum is Charles Barkley. Of course, he's working the tournament for CBS and Turner. Here was Chuck making quite the announcement related to his alma mater and the High Point Panthers during Turner's tourney coverage.
No, but listen, I'm telling you right now, Auburn, we're playing High Point next year.
Wow.
I'm speaking for Auburn.
Can you do the guarantee?
Guarantee!
Guaranteeing a game between Auburn and High Point. Now, the whole point that Flynn Clayman's making is that he can't get some of these high majors to come to High Point, North Carolina. So I don't know if Chuck's going to be able to want Auburn to go into High Point's gym. High Point probably is going to ask not to go to Auburn for the game. So can we get a neutral site? If only there were, within an hour of High Point, a venue that holds more than 20,000 people that could potentially have a neutral site game between the Tigers and High Point Panthers. If only there were that. Oh, yeah. You got the Greensboro Coliseum that's right over there. That could potentially do that. Figure it out. If it is played somewhat locally where I sit here in the Triad area of North Carolina, not far from where High Point's at, I'll definitely be at that game. Auburn, High Point. Let's make it happen. And here's the thing. It's not just High Point or Miami either. The context that Goodman and Borzello, what they miss, I mean, are we saying VCU isn't a mid-major? They're in the A-10. They erased an 11-point lead to beat North Carolina. The Rams, they're facing a shortened, they're facing, who do they have tonight? They have Illinois. That might be tough. But Gonzaga, they're in the West Coast Conference. Oh, but they don't count, Josh. Okay, fine. How about elsewhere in the West Coast Conference? Santa Clara, if it wasn't for a half-court shot at the buzzer from a Tega Owe, Santa Clara is moving forward. And are we just going to act like Wright State didn't push Virginia or Siena didn't lead Duke by 13 points in the second half? So I think it's very premature to say right now that the mid-major is dead in college basketball based on last year's tournament and the first round of this year's tournament. Just a tad bit premature. Would it be a tad bit premature, Will, to say that Michigan State has this game against Louisville?
Considering there's 2:40 to go and they're up 12, no, I don't think that'd be premature.
68-56, Michigan State over Louisville. I'm going to zag. Most shows say, I don't care about your bracket. I'm going to say I do care. And part of the reason why, you could tell me in the YouTube comments. You could tell me on X, in addition to your favorite regional restaurant chains, how your bracket's doing. As of right now, Will, still have only knocked out one Sweet 16 team. That was BYU, who I do not have going to the Elite Eight. I have Michigan State going to the Final Four over Duke in that Elite Eight in D.C., that potential Elite Eight matchup in D.C. So, very happy to see that Michigan State is going to advance. Michigan I had falling in the Elite Eight, but don't know if I'd redo that again. Don't know if I'd pick them again, knowing what we know now about Josh Jefferson. Hopefully Josh Jefferson's able to play against Kentucky. That's a big deal. How is your bracket looking? Have you had a number of Sweet 16 teams go down?
So first game of the tournament, I got Ohio State TCU wrong. I had the Buckeyes winning that. I had Clemson get into a game 16, against Florida.
I'm not saying You didn't miss any in the first round. Yeah. Did you miss any second weekend teams is the question.
So far, other than BYU, which I got
You didn't have
wrong,
BYU getting there. There it is.
And I had Villanova playing Arizona, and I got that wrong. That's it.
Well, no. Well, Villanova wouldn't play Arizona in the Sweet 16, Will. That would be a round 2 matchup. I'm talking about getting
BYU,
to the Sweet 16.
I was looking at my bracket wrong.
Unbelievable.
BYU, that's the big one.
I don't ask
That's
Will to do much, but when I do, hey, can you read a bracket? It's challenging sometimes. Make sure, if you haven't already, you're subscribed to the podcast. That is one of the things we ask Will to do. He edits and curates it. You can find it, Westwood One Sports Night. Subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate that. We'll see how the bracket looks as the tournament advances. Obviously, keep you posted on games throughout. Now, Michigan State's up by 13 with $1:40 to go. It seems they have that wrapped up. So how about we push things forward to the evening session? What's better than one betting expert joining the show from Vegas? 2 of them. Kelly in Vegas, Ariel Epstein, the prop queen. Our guests, live from the desert, next on the Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Spending the last decade covering college basketball in the state of North Carolina, it's usually meant that I'm either following Duke or North Carolina to some first and second round site, such as Greenville, South Carolina this week. But the dream has always been that one year I'd spend the first weekend of the tourney in Las Vegas, as our next guests have been doing. By the way, this is the Josh Graham Show on Westwood One Sports. It is the prop queen Ariel Epstein. It is Kelly and Vegas Stewart who are joining us from the desert. Ariel, paint the picture for me. When there are 4 or 5 games going on at once yesterday and Kentucky's Otega Owe hits a half-court shot, where were you? What is it like?
We were at the sportsbook here at the Westgate Superbook, and the place, you just watch everybody jump up out of their seat. Now, everyone, of course, was on the dog, and that's what I feel like
you got to rewind. Santa Clara's 3. The sportsbook
went
is
nuts.
like,
yeah, sorry. Santa Clara's 3 is when the book went nuts.
Yeah. We didn't even get a chance to sit down, and Kentucky hit their 3.
And then I think at that point, though, the book was like, whoa, because that was crazy. But everyone's been on the dog in those situations, right? Santa Clara. And then what was Thursday? The same kind of 3 hit, and everyone was going nuts at the book also.
VCU.
Yeah.
Late. Yeah, VCU late.
And High Point, everyone was going nuts. Like, everyone's rooting so hard for a Cinderella massive upset here at the book, and you hear it every time.
So, Kelly, when the favorites go 16-0 yesterday, does that mean it's not as fun to be in Vegas?
They did straight up, but I just want you to know my best bet, Cal Baptist, came through for me while we were at dinner. I actually asked the waitress, I was like, can you put it on that TV right there? So I knew where I was sitting at the table so that I could keep looking over. And that was my only bright moment yesterday because I was on that Santa Clara game, and that just set the precedence for the whole day. I was like, oh, wow, today is going to suck. And it did. It did. No dogs, no upsets, no anything fun. Cal Baptist was like my lone bright spot. So, yeah, those types of days, not great. I just logged in and made sure that I had a bet ready to go before the next round of games tip off. And I looked and I know Ariel could see the balance, and I was like, don't ask. It was a bad day yesterday.
But it's funny because we could be out at a restaurant like dinner last night, a nice Italian restaurant at the Wynn, and there's 3 TVs in the main dining room area with games on.
Yeah, that never happened.
No.
Previously. It's because it's March Madness, and they know people have to eat, and they want people to leave the sports book after being there for 14 hours and come spend money at their restaurants. So they know they have to have TVs readily available for people like me. Otherwise, we're not going.
How happy were the books then by the way that things shook out yesterday? Did you already get a sense?
I haven't spoken to any bookmakers yet this morning. I had another show out here West Coast time that I had to prep for. I did get a list of sharp games, which was wonderful, but I didn't get to ask, like, how bad did they get crushed? I will say this. We know the general public comes in on a lot of the dogs in the round of 64.
That's it.
Right. Or it's the money line parlays.
Yeah, the money line parlays obviously did very well yesterday. Very well.
That would be the one thing that probably crushed them for sure.
Ariel Epstein, Kelly, and Vegas Stewart are with us here from Vegas. Getting to, you mentioned the slate. Duke's about to tip off in a bit. There is, this is the time where games start to stagger on Saturday, and we get multiple screens involved. Is there anything you like on the board on what on paper is supposed to be a pretty ugly night?
I don't know if it's going to be an ugly night. I think that Texas coming up here next is one of those spots where 3 games in 4 days might catch up with them, a little bit of tired legs. This was a Gonzaga team that I wasn't even that high on, but Texas gets in early, beats NC State in a game they almost choked away.
Mm-hmm.
Gets a win there right after. Now ask them run it back and play a Zags team that really hasn't been tested all season long outside of 1 or 2 losses there in the West Coast Conference. I think Texas is going to be the square dog today. Everybody's going to want to bet them. This is a spot where I think Gonzaga is great in your survivors, and I like Gonzaga minus the 6.5.
And listen, Josh, I don't cover college, hence Kelly talking is more than me this time, but I know Gonzaga and Survivor. So Splash Sports Survivor, that's what I've got today. Gonzaga and Arkansas I took.
You guys are BFFs. Is there?
I'm on High Point. We'll get into that here in a minute.
There seems to be a tension on the show because
attention?
Tension because
because she needs attention.
He said tension, TENSION.
I know, and it's because you need attention.
Well, see, no, the point is, like, you love college basketball, and it just exudes itself, Kelly. But Ariel seems more interested in, like, following baseball futures that are, you got to get in before next week. So what's it like? I guess I probably should have asked a better question at the top. What's it like being in Vegas when you care about the basketball, but your best friend that you're with does not?
Oh, she cares. She watches. She's having a good time.
I have fun. I just don't have anything. I don't handicap it. So now you're like blindly betting what other people tell you. And I hate that.
That does make it difficult, right? And a day like yesterday probably is not a great day to blindly bet. Let's put it like that.
It's been fun, though. That's the thing. The reason I come is because I do love sports. I love sitting and watching sports all day. I was going to do it anyway if I was at home. It might as well be in one of the best sports books in the world at the Superbook, where you get everything and you're in the elements. It's like a great bar on steroids. So I love being here. I just hate, because I'm a numbers person and I like to win, that I now have to trust other people and their bets. I don't like that. So when everyone at the book's like, Ariel, what's the bet of the day? I'm like, ask her. I don't do college, but I do pro. And they're like, so what are we betting in baseball? And then I start talking to them about baseball, but then there's a buzzer beater like in one of the middle screens. And I'm like, guys, we shouldn't be talking about this right now.
Ariel, give me a baseball something. Come on, next week. Fire up. I already bet the Pirates. You convinced me. You talked me into
the
Pittsburgh
the Pirates
Pirates
to win their division.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from John Murray.
Wow.
I like the Pirates.
That's bold.
What
else
I'm
we
high on
got?
the Pirates. I'm high on the Texas Rangers 3-1 to win the division. Brent Rooker over 32.5 home runs, I think it is. They're at Sutter Health for a second straight year, and it's a minor league park in Sacramento, second most home runs to Coors Field last season. And I think them having another season there. Also, Brent Rooker has gone over that number in 4 of the last 5 seasons. He's also got a great lineup, so you can't pitch around him. So I like that. But then just like one thing I'm telling everybody to look out for, just for opening week, anytime that a pitcher's facing the Blue Jays, take their under strikeout prop. It's been the best thing to bet in the strikeout prop market all last season. And they're going to come out probably with an ace and an inflated line against the Jays, because you're getting an ace or a 2 going up against them. I have to double check when the numbers come out, but definitely fade any pitcher against the Jays Ks.
It is the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. It is Kelly and Vegas Stewart joining us from Vegas. And the thing I think we all seek in our content is authenticity nowadays. That's the buzzword. And what we love about Ariel and you, Kelly, is that you will tell us what you don't know. It's always frustrating when we listen to people, especially this time of year, who don't watch college basketball throughout the season, parachute in and then try to act like they're the greatest expert. So it's something refreshing. And Ariel saying, I have fun with it, but I don't really know it all that well. So how about we get into tonight? You mentioned High Point. High Point, we had Flynn Clayman on the show a couple nights ago. High Point's about 30 minutes from where I sit right now. Ariel, I know, super into High Point because family and all. Are you in on the Panthers tonight, Kelly?
I have no choice but to be in on the Panthers. We do a Calcutta every single college basketball season, and we got a really, really value price on this team. And I thought, all right, I think that they can make a little bit of a splash. Them and VCU is all we have left. We drafted 6 teams, so we're down to 2 double-digit dogs for today. And that's never a fun spot to be in. But here's an Arkansas team that I think couldn't have looked any better. And that is the reality. And that is a good thing, right? And I mentioned VCU, and I feel the same way about Illinois. They could not have looked any better against a Penn team. And so coming into Saturday, coming into Sunday, I start to look at teams who overachieved. I think Arkansas overachieved on Thursday night. I know a lot of people would argue, well, High Point overachieved. Nah, we said all week long, Wisconsin lives and dies by the 3. High Point was able to put up a bunch of big numbers. They were able to run and gun. I think they're going to be able to run and gun against this Arkansas team as well.
This might be the sell to Ariel Epstein to fully embrace college basketball.
Well, she played Arkansas in Survivor, so if she takes High Point plus 12, that could make her into like a nice little middle/conundrum.
True. I would take High Point plus 12.
See, when you're in Vegas, can you actually hear any of the broadcasts? Like, do you know the story of Chase Johnston, for example? Has that been hit over the head with you yet? Number 99 for High Point. Have you heard that story yet?
I've seen my brother post it to his Instagram story.
So my man going into this week attempted 136 shots in his season. 132 of them have been from 3, only 4 from 2, and he was 0 of 4. The first make he had was the go-ahead basket to win the game on the layup with 10 seconds to go to win High Point their first ever game. That's college sports. Right there, circled twice. You're not going to get that in the NBA, albeit some teams might try. 132 of your 136 attempts.
We're going to be at the Luke Combs concert during that game, which sucks. But
no, it's going to be great. There's going to be a TV in the suite. I was already promised.
Oh, they did? They said that? Good.
Yeah, of course. Every suite has TVs. So
I didn't know the layout.
I'll be Dirks will be on in the background, and I'll be watching the High Point Arkansas game.
Oh, Dirks Bentley too?
He's opening for Luke.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Drunk
on a plane.
My favorite one. What's the one with turnip greens? I love that song.
Oh,
and turnip greens.
That's now you're singing, Josh. I don't think they paid you for that.
I should know this song.
Sorry about that.
It's
good direction. Good direction. Good direction.
She's her sweet tea.
Send them back to me. That's good. Speaking of which, we were just talking about Luke Combs not too long ago in this show. He exposed to the Hot Ones audience the glory of the fast food chain Cookout. So you're going to Luke Combs tonight. Kelly, have you been to Cookout before? I know Ariel knows all about it. Do you know about Cookout?
I have no idea.
Ariel,
it's
do you want to tell
Josh Graham staple. It's where you go. Well, it's a late night spot. There's a long line at the drive-through. Mm-hmm. And you get like a milkshake and a burger, right?
Yeah.
Or like what
before bed?
Here you go. Here you go. Kelly, this is it. This is it right here. Luke spelled it all out, saying, imagine going to Chick-fil-A, but rather than getting the very nice people that look like they're at camp, like camp counselors, you have the guy who gives off Philly but is Southern, just asking you what you want. And you look at the menu, and I'm not kidding, you get an entree, which is like a normal Cookout like item, like Cookout food, like burgers or hot dog, whatever. But as a side, you can have your option of chicken quesadilla, corn dog, or other various Southern delicacies.
Instead of like French fries?
You can get French fries, but you could also get a chicken quesadilla. You could also get a corn dog. And then you could get a milkshake rather than a drink, which seems commonplace, but there's 50 different options of milkshake flavors.
It's very overwhelming when you're going there to drunk eat.
And it's $10.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you will need to expose her to that sometime if you're ever in the South. Cookout is the place to go. All right, we need to look at tomorrow's slate because when you have 16 straight up favorites win, that means you are going to be set up for some better matchups on Sunday's slate. I think that's what we've got. It's a loaded slate. What catches your eye, Kelly?
I mentioned teams that overachieved. We talked about that Santa Clara, Kentucky game. Kentucky needed a miracle 3 just to get to overtime. They were still down 1 with a minute to go. Now, they had some bounces go their way. They hit their free throws down the stretch, but that final result of that Santa Clara game was not indicative of how that game was played out. I have a pretty sizable futures bet on Iowa State at 30-1 to win the national championship, and I think this is a great spot for the Cyclones. Their top 5 rated defense and their 3-point shooting, just firepower. I love this Cyclones team. I think they're going to just light up Kentucky here. Mark Pope's getting sent home. He's going to piss off everybody in Lexington once again.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm looking at St. John's. 3.5 was a little steep for me. I thought when it opened at first, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting. Again, I bet against Kansas last night. Cal Baptist, my lone savior on the Friday slate of the 3 games that I bet. And I said, all right, Darren Peterson had so many looks. He scored 28 points, which I don't want to discredit, but like the guy could have went off for 40, but he didn't. Yet again, just a disappointment. Time to go to the NBA. Time to get out of Lawrence Bill Self, and that's what Rick Pitino is going to do. They're going to run the Jayhawks out of the gym. This St. John's team caught fire mid-March, and guess what? I think this team is going to be a force to reckon with. I wouldn't be surprised to see them be the Final Four team out of that region. I have been nothing but impressed with the St. John's team. And we're going to look to the late slate. Texas Tech -1.5 currently over Bama. Ariel got to make me look like a complete and utter you-know-what on my own podcast. Toppin was in my brain, and it was JT Toppin, not Obi Toppin, who is in the NBA. It is what it is. But Texas Tech really missed him there for a better part of February. And it started to hurt them late. It hurt them in the Big 12 tournament. But I do think that now they are a more cohesive unit. And what we saw them be able to do and dismantle the Miami of Ohio team that everybody loved yesterday showed me this team is ready to come back. I did bet against Bama yesterday. Hofstra, shout out to them. They were so valiant for 2/3 of that game. And then it was over. And that's exactly how I said it was going to play out. I said I liked Hofstra in the first half. Bama was going to pull away late. That's what Bama does. But I do think Texas Tech has the horses to keep up with this Bama team. And I think laying 1.5 here tells you all you need to know about the Red Raiders.
Anything that we should be following, Kelly in Vegas, and also Ariel Epstein, other than propqueen.com and Wager Talk?
Wager Talk. You can check out all my stuff over there on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Ariel and I are supposed to be recording a vlog this week.
We are recording it.
We've done pretty bad about it. We've done pretty bad.
I said people love our experiences, so we should start documenting them. So I spent like $850 on a freaking old school digital camera that every time something cool happens to us, I forget to record it. But definitely really not a good sell. Watch the vlog though. There are some cool things. The one thing I forgot to promote was that we went to Barry's and we had a private room, which was really great. But I've pretty much recorded the rest. Our pool day yesterday.
Yeah, in middle of right after that Hofstra collapse, I was like, all right, my neck is just killing me. I need to get a massage. See the massage guy walk by mid-massage. Guess who decides to ruin it?
I recorded the massage. So you can check out the vlog on the Prop Queen Media and the Wager Talk YouTube page coming up in probably like next week at some point. I'll have it edited.
Full circle from where we started. I said that the dream was to get to Vegas for the first weekend. My wife says she wants to go to Vegas. And I said, What do you want to do? Do you want to bet on some things? Do you want to do just like, nope, I just want to go to the pool. That's what I want to do. So, yeah.
The wind pool was beautiful yesterday.
Yes. Highly recommend the wind pool. That was great. Plenty of TVs, plenty of gambling. And you can sit in the sun if you really want to. I did not. I sat at the blackjack table and watched the Hofstra Bama game.
We expect nothing less from Kelly in Vegas, Inner Element in Vegas, and Ariel Epstein as well. Enjoy the Luke Combs concert in a bit. Thanks for making the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh.
Those two are a mess. Kelly in Vegas, Ariel Epstein. You should follow their advice. They're pretty good at what they do. As Pete Gillen once said, Duke is Duke. They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns. Duke about to be in action. How worried are we about Duke? Patrick Gamba, huh? That's next on Westwood One.
Want to be alerted for every close game or when it's going to overtime? Download the Westwood One Sports app and allow notifications. We'll alert you to turn the outside noise down and crank the game up from the Westwood One Sports app and Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We're in need of a reset. So much has happened in a short period of time. Kelly in Vegas, Ariel Epstein, they're tons of fun from Las Vegas, spending a little bit of time giving us some betting advice. We talked about regional restaurant chains. There are some rumors that are out there surrounding the North Carolina Tar Heels that we plan to talk about at length in just a bit. And all the while, there's March Madness. There are games happening to discuss too. So how about we just set the table really quickly? If you want in on the program, here are a couple of questions that we're asking. If the North Carolina job does come open, who is the biggest fish North Carolina could reel in? Not that they're going to hire said person, but who's the guy you think that's the biggest name you could get? It kind of reminds me, remember during the pandemic in 2020 when it became a fun game to play in Zoom chats where everybody would just say, you start with like 3 or 4 people, and the game would be who's the most famous person you could get to join your Zoom chat? And you had people doing this in the media, and all of a sudden, there's Dwayne Wade. Oh my God, who brought Shaq in here? Blake Griffin. Don't know why all the examples. Peyton Manning. Don't know why most of them were NBA examples we brought up there. A lot of famous people playing in the NBA. So who is the biggest fish that North Carolina could land if the job came open and they were looking to make a hire? 310-840-4910. Also, Luke Combs, he sang the praises of a Southeast regional restaurant chain by the name of Cookout on the Sean Evans wing-eating podcast Hot Ones. Had us thinking, well, what are the best regional chains across the country that you could venture at? 310-840-4910, or you can chime in on our chat on YouTube as well if you want to write in that way. Just search Westwood One Sports Night, where you can watch the show in addition to listening to it. 310-840-4910. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Will Dalton, real quickly, are you a Bojangles guy or a Cookout guy being in North Carolina? Which one is higher up in the pecking order for you?
It's got to be Cookout. No shade to Bojangles. None. But Cookout is the top dog.
Understood. See, this is important information for everybody to glean from. Tipping off now from Greenville, South Carolina, Duke. I'm Duke. And TCU. Ever since Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah of Bleck and Abdallah middays in Chicago, Westwood One Sports during the week, did that while I was pinch hitting, and I've been on with them every week for the last month. I do that every time I mention Duke in casual conversation. I grab my Coach K bobblehead and I say, I am Duke. What's your major?
It is really good. It's gold.
They just tipped off against TCU. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. The first 2 games weren't really all that dramatic or close. I think Scary Duke's going to make an appearance. Patrick Gamba, in case you're wondering, is playing in the game, or is going to be playing, has not been inserted in the starting lineup. Dealing with the foot injury, he did show up to the arena with one of those scooters and a cast, and the reason why John Shire tells Tracy Wilson is to try to keep him off that foot as much as possible. Well, one way you could keep him off the foot is not playing him in a NCAA tournament basketball game. But they are. He is expected to play. We'll see how many minutes Duke would need him. Duke would like just to take care of business against TCU, and that way you could take him out, not have to play him all that much. Malik Brown getting the start at center for the Blue Devils. Michigan State just finished a win against Louisville, 77-66. Louisville and Michigan State traded blows the entire first half where it was pretty close. Michigan State really, though, stayed kind of in the pocket of between 5 to about 10 points they were leading by, and it never really got closer than that. They just stayed in that pocket. So them winning by 8 sounds about right. You look at some of the scores. I think it was Cohen Carr who had a big game today. Yep, the bouncy Cohen Carr. 8 of 13 from the field, had 21 in the game. Kohler, Fears in double digits. How's this for a stat? Michigan State had 22 assists on 26 baskets, Will. 16 of those assists belonged to Jeremy Fears Jr. 16 assists for Jeremy Fears. We've seen some really crazy stat lines get put up in this tournament. None more crazy than UConn's Terrace Reed grabbing 27 rebounds when Furman as a team had 23. A player out-rebounded a team in rebounds last night. And to make matters even more crazy, that happened, and it was a 2-15 game, yet UConn only won the game by 11 points. Will Dalton, what are you looking at?
Right now, I'm looking at this Duke TCU game where
oh goodness,
TCU's up 5-2. They're out in front.
I see that, Will. The game is on
anymore.
in here. You do have a habit. It's a thing that is a flaw of yours. We've talked about your flaws, such as
a lot.
If it happened before you were born, it didn't happen. Or you don't respect it, or it's not better than what happened in your life, because how could it be? And then the other thing you have a flaw for, but the audience generally appreciates this trait in you, I just don't, is bringing up useless information. Useless. As a means to unintentionally or intentionally annoying me. And what's great
well, you
about
asked me what
it
I was looking at. I told you.
It looked like you had something to say. It looked as if you had something to say. So that's you just coming up with something on the fly, it seems. By the way, Duke leads 7-5 now. I am Duke.
See, this is got to keep people updated on this stuff.
Oh, TCU just tied it. It's 7-7. Do you want to do this for the next 2.5 hours?
Not really.
No, let's probably not do that. That doesn't sound like really good. Westwood One does play-by-play already. Noah Eagle has the play-by-play.
Great job.
Down in Greenville, South Carolina. I don't think they need Will Dalton saying, whoa, Dame Sars hit a shot. Whoa. Patrick Gamba is coming into the game, though. That is newsworthy. We'll throw that out there. So he is playing in the game, but you are obnoxious. And what's great is some of the most unbeaten content on a show such as this, where a solo host is talking, hey, it's the Josh Graham show, is when the host is annoyed by his producer. That's more entertaining than anything I can do that is thoughtful or smart, could book a fantastic guest. No, when I'm out and about, people are like, you know what I liked from your show? It wasn't the guest you spent 2 weeks trying to book. It was the time Will Dalton told you it was 52 TCU over Duke.
This is
a
thing that actually happens.
Segment ranting about it. It's the bane of my existence. Let's go to Brock, who's in San Diego. Brock, you're on the Josh Graham show. What regional chain are you taking us to?
Have you ever? Well, I don't know if they have it on the East Coast, but it's called Epic Wings. It used to be Wings and Things.
I know Wings and Things. That's definitely West Coast, though. That's not an East Coast thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that place is awesome. But are you flats or drums? Where are you at? Thanks for having me.
It's a controversial subject. I appreciate the call. I am a flats guy. I like the flats, Will, just because I feel there's more consistency in terms of my ability to get all the meat off of the bone. So if I had to pick between the two, I'm a flat. You're shaking your head no.
I always go drum. There's more meat on it, in my opinion.
I think that's an optical illusion.
Is it?
I think it is. I don't think you're actually getting more meat on the drumstick than you are on the flat.
And not only that,
I could be wrong. See,
it's easier
we
to
brought,
eat
we
the
brought
drum.
up the cookout. We brought up the restaurant train cookout, and there is a conspiracy theory that people have regarding this chain in North Carolina, where you have the option, Josh Jacobs, of ordering a regular burger, or you can order the double burger. Now, when you hear double burger, Josh, what do you think a double burger is?
Well, twice the amount of meat.
That's what you think, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not advertised or marketed this way. It is 2 burgers, but the patties on the double burger smaller than the patty on the regular burger. Thus, you're actually not getting more meat, or if you are, it's marginal. Conspiracy Josh. Hold on a sec.
Did you get a tinfoil cap? Did you make one? Oh, you did. This is great. It'll
I just
work.
tried to put sunglasses. No. Oh.
I'll lose the hat.
Okay. Conspiracy Josh is here. He's got a tinfoil cap.
Well,
hey, Conspiracy Josh, you're on.
Yeah, well, the thing is that
the Josh Graham Show.
At In-N-Out Burger.
Hey, y'all. I'm here to tell you about the burgers at Cookout. The double burger actually is just a smaller patty. You're not getting more meat. You're not getting more meat than the single patty. You're not doing it. You're not really getting more meat now. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful. Conspiracy Josh.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised because
yes, Josh.
A couple times last year when I went to In-N-Out Burger, I ordered the double. It was more like the single and a half. It was like 1 full patty and 1 half patty. Now, I pointed out to them they did give me a refund. In some cases, they even gave me a free, like a $10 gift card to make up for the trouble. But I'm wondering how many other people are getting this and not realizing that they got a single and a half instead of an actual double.
It's a good question. By the way, it was a note from D-Day, Denton Day, producer of Westwood One Sports Night during the week. If you're going to do Conspiracy Josh, in terms of, by mean you doing it, having him on the show, if you're going to have him, he probably should have a different accent than you, because then it's hard to distinguish the voices. So, just workshopping some things there.
Makes a lot of sense. That's why we love D-Day, coming up with these ideas.
Yeah. Did we cover any ground, anything worthwhile or substantive at all during this segment? Don't think so. But you watch. After we get finished, we just booked a great interview. We had Kelly in Vegas and Ariel Epstein on, and just had this really thoughtful conversation regarding Hubert Davis. Someone to say, you know what the best segment of the show was? When
this
Conspiracy Josh made an appearance with the Southern accent, and you started talking about the burger conspiracy. Allegedly. Going from Duke to arch rival North Carolina and Chapel Hill, it's beginning to look a lot like the Tar Heels are going to fire Hubert Davis, and that should sound alarm bells across the country. And we'll tell you why next.
It's tourney time, and you'll hear every game, every upset, every unforgettable moment on the Westwood One Sports app. That's the Westwood One Sports app. This is March. This is your home of the NCAA tournament. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
The March Madness front and center here on the Josh Graham Show. TCU an early 15-13 lead over the Duke Blue Devils. Shout out to the voice of the Boston Red Sox, Dave O'Brien, also from ESPN, for that specific emphasis on Blue Devils. Michigan already into the clubhouse today, through to the Sweet 16 with a win against St. Louis, Michigan State, beat Louisville by 8. On to D.C. But the actual NCAA tournament action can take a back seat, at least for right now, because of a developing story in Chapel Hill. Reading the tea leaves and being quite close to the situation, geographically, this show is based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is about 90 minutes away from Chapel Hill on campus. It sure seems as if North Carolina is in the process of firing Hubert Davis. You have the chancellor of the school not giving any type of a vote of approval for Hubert Davis to a local TV station in Raleigh Friday night. Then John Rothstein reached out to Bubba Cunningham, and Bubba Cunningham didn't have much to back Hubert Davis as well. So there are rumblings, and if those rumblings are true, and the smoke does in fact reveal a fire, this would be an alarming decision on several levels. A coaching change would be a reactionary decision based on a singular NCAA tournament loss, an ugly NCAA tournament loss to VCU. You'll hear people say, no, it's because of the last few years and losses like this and the standard. No, it's not. It's not. How do we know that? Because if they would have won the game, he would have kept his job. If they wouldn't have blown a 19-point lead and it became the biggest story from the first round of the tournament, he wouldn't have lost his job. Again, assuming a change is being made. For weeks, everybody over there felt Hubert had done a nice job of riding the ship without a top 5 NBA draft pick in Caleb Wilson on the team. North Carolina, this might sound crazy given where we hold that program nationally. North Carolina hasn't had a player drafted in the top 5 of the NBA draft in 21 years. They haven't had a lottery pick altogether in 7. Yet they have Caleb Wilson. They lose him. Went 19-5 with Caleb Wilson, by the way, and beat Duke, one of 2 teams to beat Duke this year with Caleb Wilson, borderline top 10 team. But you lose him first to a fractured hand, and then it's a fractured thumb. You don't have him for the last month. And you're talking about Hubert having to salvage a bad situation. And some would say he didn't do a terrible job at it. The season really could have gotten away. You had NCAA tournament teams who were playing down the stretch, beat Louisville, beat Clemson. In fact, 9 games without Caleb Wilson, a winning record of 5-4 with those wins against NCAA tournament teams. But the reason why a change would be happening is because of the 19-point blown lead. It's the largest blown lead in the first round in the history of the NCAA tournament. And it'd be the reaction from money people. That's really what this is. Because for weeks, the folks over there said, nah, he's good. Under no circumstances, unless he wants to go, is he not going to be the coach next year? What's driving this? What's driving the bus? The money people at North Carolina, not the administration, not the leadership that's in place. And this is the same donor base that forced Bill Belichick on the AD there, Bubba Cunningham, who did not want him. How'd that go? Not great. And by the way, that Bubba Cunningham figure, he's on the way out. You got a new AD coming in. So it's a mess trying to figure out, well, is it that guy who's making the hire? Is it Bubba? Is it the chancellor who, in a hilarious twist, owns a degree from Duke? Is it just the money people? Like, who is driving the bus at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill? No one has a great answer for it. A coaching change would likely as well. This might be the more significant piece in terms of the landscape for college basketball. A coaching change would likely mark the end of Dean Smith's Carolina family, if they were to make it. Since the 1950s, this program has been led exclusively by Dean Smith or a Dean Smith disciple. That's it. All of Carolina's assistants played for the Tar Heels, even this past year. if they make a move, there really is no coach with Carolina ties you're going to replace Hubert Davis with. There's nobody out there. So it would have to be an outsider, just like their incoming AD, Steve Newmark from NASCAR background, owns a degree at the University of Virginia, their chancellor who went to Duke. If they make a coaching change, it also likely means the end of the Dean E. Smith Center. They're probably going to relocate from one of the most iconic venues in the sport because they're unable to build around it. And the name of the game is revenue in college sports today. Their television deal isn't great with the ACC, so they need to get creative in terms of creating revenue in order to pay Bill Belichick so that he can keep his 24-year-old girlfriend happy. Don't know why we had to have that jab in there. Just thought I'd throw it in there, though. Cheerleading season's getting close, so perhaps we'll see Bill at some events. That's not a joke. She actually does cheerleading. Sorry, Bill and Jordan. Apologies. But then getting back to North Carolina, to pay for these things, such as firing coaches on a whim and then hiring another and then having the budget you want to compete, they feel there's more money going somewhere else and building around it and having real estate around it that you have a hand in, like restaurants and other things. So this would be transformative if you were to make a change. That's what it would represent. It also would transform the tone of the NCAA tournament. You might be thinking, Josh, tournament games are going on right now. March! Why aren't you talking about that rather than the hypothetical of a coach being hired? Well, many believe the best job in all of college basketball is North Carolina. And it's a job, for all the reasons we just outlined, hasn't really been open since 1950, since the 50s. Because if it was a requirement for you to be part of the Carolina family, air quotes, to get the job, well, then that job's not really open. And if that is no longer a prerequisite, just how interesting is the job? Who can you really rule out for being a candidate for the best job in college basketball? Any team that advances far in this tournament is going to have their coach connected to that opening if it is an opening. And they're going to be asked questions about Carolina. Maybe it's Tommy Lloyd at Arizona or TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State. Maybe even championship-winning coaches like Todd Golden at Florida or Dan Hurley at UConn. And if that happens, we could have a redo of the 2003 title game when Roy Williams left Kansas to go to North Carolina. He lost in the championship game to Carmelo Anthony, Jim Boeheim, and Syracuse. And then Bonnie Bernstein is doing an interview after the game. And if you're young, you don't remember this. If you're older, you do. And it's worth a refresher if you remember it, of how that sounded courtesy of CBS.
Very understandably, you didn't want to address this issue during the week, but many people out there with the game over want to know what your level of interest is in the North Carolina job, Coach.
Bonnie, I could give a flip about what those people want. As a journalist, you have to ask that question. I understand that, but as a human being, that's all those people that want that answer know right now, they're not very sensitive.
If they offer you the job, though, would you be willing to take it?
I haven't thought about that for 1 second. And the guy in your ear that told you have to ask that question, as a journalist, that's fine. But as a human being, that's not very nice because it's not very sensitive. And I got to think that in tough times that people should be more sensitive. I could give about North Carolina.
Give a bleep about North Carolina. I could give a flip. He is the best. If North Carolina makes a change, what is the biggest fish that they are capable of landing? Dave just sent me a tweet, a reply, and it's a photo. We're already doing this, of a flight tracker from RDU to Bedford, Massachusetts. You know why? Brad Stevens. This has been a running joke in the state of North Carolina for 15 years. And when people were wondering when Kay was going to retire, oh, go get Brad Stevens. Go get Brad Stevens. He ain't coming. He's fine with the Celtics. He's happy. That team might win a title. So it's probably not going to be Brad Stevens. In fact, that was so much of a joke. During the Bill Belichick introductory presser, Bubba Cunningham going all YOLO because he's like, I'm going to be out in the summer anyway. I'm going to do cut-off sleeves on my suit. And just like Belichick with his jackets, He even made a joke. Yeah, man, when I was considering the options, I was considering Bill Belichick or Brad Stevens. Ha, 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 ha. Man, we only have one more hour on the show. Give us a shout. Tell us the biggest fish you think North Carolina as a program can land. 310-840-4910. Up next, why Sunday slate is real and it's spectacular. Keep it tuned to the Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Duke 27, TCU 22. Under 7 minutes to go. First half action in Greenville, South Carolina. Today's slate, not remarkable. Do have some bets to hand out for it, though. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We're asking you at 310-840-4910 if North Carolina were to make a coaching change, and it seems they might. Who's the biggest fish that they can reel in? Pine Needle says it's Jay Wright. Will Dalton, you're the guy on this show that is emotionally attached to the Tar Heel basketball program, and you also think it's right for them to move off of Hubert Davis. I do not, but I'm also not a fan. Will, who would you like to see North Carolina hire if they were to make a change? Because that's the problem. You have people saying, make a change, make a change. Well, who do you want?
I wouldn't hate Todd Golden. I also wouldn't hate Nate Oates. I just want him to go outside the Carolina family, which inevitably they're going to if this happens. So I don't think that's a concern.
That's a little surprising because you strike me as the person that says, nostalgia, don't move from the Smith Center and keep everything the way that it is in Carolina family, and this is why we're special and no one else is like us.
I don't want them to move from the Smith Center, but that's
they're going
building.
to, though. These things are connected. These things are connected.
Right. And listen.
You can't have one without the other.
In terms of a coach, though, I'm totally fine with them going outside of the family because I think they need to evolve. I think it's time.
Right. But if you do that, then you're not going – you got to pay the bills. Like this guy, to bring in this coach, you have to meet a certain level of revenue in order to attract that coach in terms of the budget you're going to give him. You got to pay a coach to go away. You got to pay then a coach to probably more than what Hubert's being paid in order to get him. And – money does not grow on trees. So there are a lot of Carolina fans that are just like you saying, I want the Smith Center to stay the way it is, and I want to fire Hubert because I'm mad. And I'm sorry, you can't have your cake and eat it too. No, I'm saying that that's the general sentiment. But those things are connected. You can't have one or the other. It's either none of it or both things.
Mm-hmm. I love the Smith Center, but not more than I love the program and the health and prosperity of the program. The heck with the Smith Center if that means we can get the next great coach.
Got it. So there's the question. There you go. At least you clarified your position. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Your thoughts welcome at 310-840-4910. As mentioned, this slate tonight, not the greatest. Tomorrow, though, holy cow. Sunday's slate of games, spectacular. The headliner being St. John's and Kansas meeting in San Diego. Can't think of a better place to hang out just casually, hey, if someone asked, out of the 8 first and second round sites, which site would you like to go to? Without even looking at the matchups, I said, San Diego. It's where I want to go. And I get basketball? You telling me I get NCAA tournament basketball, and I get the Pacific Ocean, and I get amazing Mexican food in Old Town? Yeah. Where do I sign? I don't think it's a coincidence that our top crew ended up in San Diego. Kevin Kugler and company and PJ Carlissimo. Send them out that way. That's the headliner. You got 2 star coaches. Hall of Famer Bill Self. Hall of Famer Rick Pitino. You got 2 star players. Zubi Ezefor. You got from St. John's and Darren Peterson. The winner likely has the right to face Duke. I am Duke. Duke handling its business in this marquee on Saturday. Facing TCU, it's an 8-point game right now. All over the place. You have coin flip games. See, this is the part. The NCAA tournament is unbeaten, never lost. It always delivers. Because if you have a ton of upsets, that's entertaining by itself. But if you don't get upsets, like yesterday, we had all 16 favorites win on Saturday. Or on Friday, pardon. What that means is you get more amazing matchups moving forward because the best teams are winning. Texas, Alabama, coin flip game. A contrast of styles. Get up the floor Nate Oates with LeBaron Filan facing Christian Anderson, Grant McCaslin's Texas Tech Red Raiders. These are 2 teams that are both a bit compromised. No Aiden Holloway, no JT Toppin. Tennessee and Virginia. Well, that's just a giant shoulder shrug. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. Style of play, it could be super fun or it could be super gross. I don't know. I don't know. Josh Jefferson, if he's out for Iowa State, the game against Kentucky becomes a lot more interesting. I love all of these games. Looking at UConn and Purdue. We might want to make more time for this, WD. Maybe on tomorrow's program. But I love this game just from an officiating standpoint. How much do you have to hate the officiating crew to send them to the game that is being coached by Dan Hurley and Mick Cronin? I mean, holy bleep. The press conference is going to be nuts. And then you have the Boilers. They're in a battle with Miami. Miami did kind of get screwed, though. I mean, they're playing the latest game last night and then have to play at 12:15 to tip things off tomorrow. That's not ideal. But the Sunday slate, all over the board, I want all of it. All of it. Transitioning things. How about the first game today? The Michigan Wolverines. Josh Jacobs, do we have the sound of the final seconds here as Jason Benetti's on the call for Westwood One Sports? Michigan wrapping up a victory against the terrifying mascot, the Billikens of St. Louis. Let's hear that courtesy of our friends, our teammates here at Westwood One.
The Billikens with a game effort. One more back cut. McCautry blocked by Goodman. He wiped it away. Oscar Goodman with a couple of memories in his pocket. And the Michigan Wolverines are all smiles. It's a maize and blue storm again, this time into the Sweet 16.
They did coast there against St. Louis. We'll see if it's still loaded in the computer here. Loaded in the photo of the St. Louis Billiken mascot. If you're watching on YouTube or on X, this is like a way to encourage people to watch the program. You are aware, you've maybe seen this before, that the St. Louis mascot out of the A-10 might be the most terrifying mascot there is in sports. I don't say that lightly. I went to an NCAA tournament site a few years ago where the Providence Friars were there. And I went viral because I took a picture of the Providence Friar just outside the media room staring at a wall for about 5 minutes. The mascot just staring at a wall, and it's terrifying, the Providence mascot. But for those watching on X or watching on YouTube, you can see the Billiken. It looks like part demon. It looks like part Joker. It looks like part Bart Simpson. It's a scary figure. I have a son. Love my son. He's not even 1 year old yet. In fact, my son met the Easter Bunny today. Went to a Easter function. That's fun. Just got some fun pictures in regards to that. He did pretty well. I think it's Ryan McGee of ESPN who around Easter every year invites people to send pictures of their kids with the Easter Bunny, but hating the experience because they're scared of the thing. I don't think I would bring my kid to the St. Louis Billiken and get a picture with that thing. It's just awful. It really is.
Terrifying.
The logo's always been scary, as UD fan puts it out. They updated it. It makes it look worse. The mascot, it's an atrocity. It is awful, awful. And do you know what else was awful? The game that we were all subjected to watching earlier today. Today was a reminder of Michigan's Cakewalk, their cakewalk path in the Midwest region. After leading wire to wire against 16 seed Howard, hashtag as expected, the Wolverines drew another mid-major in round two. And as we're talking about St. Louis, as fun as a novelty that Robbie Avila is, who is known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Isn't that fun? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the glasses. Oh, he's a pasty white guy. How's that going to go when you're matching him up with 7'2" Mara in the post and Mo Johnson? Not great. Not great, Bob. Avila, he was held to 9 points on 3 of 13 shooting. Yaxel Lindeborg, he was the show. Had a slam that I can't adequately describe how impressive it was in this medium. It was in transition. It was between defenders. Yam City. Had an alley-oop dunk on his way to 25 points. And they're almost guaranteed to draw a compromised team in the Sweet 16. We were talking about how much fun it is to watch Texas Tech play Alabama because they seem to match up well in a contrast of styles. Both of those teams are still without their better players. Aiden Holloway, that story's not getting any better. The player from Alabama caught with 2 pounds of weed. Weed! And now, apparently, it's like intent to sell, according to reports today. Not good. Doesn't seem like he's coming back to the team. Then you got Texas Tech, who lost one of their best players, JT Toppin, last month to an injury. One of the best players in the country. The Wolverines, meanwhile, are healthy. So you're going up against teams that are missing better players. And don't forget, they're in a region, the Midwest, where the 2 seed is Iowa State, who saw their All-American star, Josh Jefferson, go down with an ankle injury yesterday. If they get knocked down by, say, Kentucky, who they face tomorrow, maybe it's the Wildcats that make that run to the Elite Eight and face Michigan. And if that's the case, Kentucky is down not 1, not 2, but 3 starters. 3 rotation players, including a guy they thought was going to be a lottery pick, and their point guard, Jalen Lowe, never really played for them this year. So that's Michigan's path, and it's the easiest path, easily, of the 4 ones. And it's kind of funny. Well, it's not really funny. It's wrong, frankly, that Duke has the most difficult path when they were the number 1 overall seed. Hey, after you beat TCU, you get to face either Bill Self or Rick Pitino in D.C. Does that sound good to you? And if you win that game, then you get Michigan State or UConn. That cool? Sign us up. Michigan. Cakewalk City for the Wolverines through the NCAA tournament. My brother just did the dumbest thing. I love my brother. You've met my brother a handful of times, right?
I have.
So he knows, like, this is a newish show that we do here, the Josh Graham Show, that this is nationwide. We just talked to some folks from San Diego. We were just out in Vegas. You know, it's great, right? Well, he has a friend of his, shout out to Patrick if he's listening, who texted him, yo, I'm in Houston. I'm listening to your brother. So then he texts a group chain saying, whoa, get this. Somebody I know heard the national host doing the talk show. And what's my brother do? He calls me, like mid-segment. Like the point of the text was, hey, this guy heard you. Which means, we're doing this show here. He's
on
like,
air.
I don't know if you have the family member like that who's like, let me just call. Let me just give you a quick shout right now. Even though the whole point I'm calling is someone heard you. Isn't that crazy? The talk host for Westwood One carries the Super
Doing
Bowl
his job.
and the NCAA tournament. Somebody heard you talk. This is crazy. My dad, he's afflicted with this as well. Sometimes. He's usually pretty good about it. Not during the show, but 5 minutes before the show. Hey, what's happening?
Shout
Where
out.
we're at. Don't know why I'm airing all of this out here. Maybe because he just tried calling me. I hope everything's okay. I might need to make a quick phone call. And then after that phone call, I'm going to hand out some winners because I got them. And Graham's gambling. Next.
Your bracket already in trouble. Your favorite team, nobody's safe. From tip-off to the Final Four, we've got every game on the Westwood One Sports app. From your official home of March Madness, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
It's about time for us to hand out some winners in Graham's Gambling. We have 2 March Madness games going on concurrently. This is where it really starts to get fun. Texas A&M, an early lead over Houston, 10-9, 5 minutes into that one. Duke led by 8 just a few moments ago. Now the lead trimmed down to a smaller number, but Dame Sarr at the free throw line for the Blue Devils. $1:34 to go in that first half in Greenville, South Carolina. A reminder that Westwood One Sports is your exclusive home of the NCAA tournament, audio-wise, and the Final Four, which I will be at. Dame Sarr hits 2. Duke's up by 5, 36-31. We'll keep you posted on that until we call it supper time at the top of the next hour. But let's look at tonight's slate, maybe some of the early afternoon slate for Sunday. Hand out some bets because it is time for Graham's Gambling.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know. It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Let's. Gave this out on Westwood One Sports Night last night. I was on till about 3 in the morning this morning. And I liked Michigan State to win, Michigan State money line, and an alt line for Duke. It was Duke minus 5.5. Right now, the Blue Devils not covering that number, but Michigan State handled its business against Louisville. In terms of what we're handing out for tonight's slate, Will Dalton, I've got to do it. Flynn Clayman joins the show earlier this week from High Point University, America's team now, the High Point Panthers. We're taking them plus the 12.5. Arkansas just looked too good 2 days ago. Doesn't sound like the greatest analysis, but if there is a mid-major that can score it, it's the High Point Panthers, and that's how Arkansas wants to play. And I venture to say it's not going to be nearly as easy for Arkansas as it was a couple nights ago. So when you're giving me 12.5 points with High Point, I'm going to take it. And I'm also going to do a little bit of a sprinkle on the money line as well. It's what we're going to do with High Point. And I'm taking Nebraska as well, Will. I really think an overlooked piece of betting the NCAA tournament is how different teams play and how difficult it is to simulate teams, prep for teams, scout for teams in between rounds 1 and 2 and rounds 3 and 4, and between the championship or the semifinals, the Final Four, and the championship game. You get 1 day to prep. And it seems to me it's going to be a lot more difficult for Vanderbilt to prepare for Nebraska's defense and the way that the Big Ten requires you to play if you want to be any good in that league. You remember the term, right? You remember how Scott Van Pelt described Big Ten basketball?
Yeah, it's like watching fat people have sex.
Correct. And that's not a style Vandy is accustomed to playing to. And I think that's going to be more difficult for Duke Miles to deal with and for Tanner to deal with from Vandy than it is going to be for Nebraska. And I'm a big fan of Fred Hoiberg as well. I think Nebraska wins this game. They're a small underdog, so just take the money line at plus 106, these odds, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. So that's for tonight. We like another underdog, Will. We're staying with the dogs. The Miami Hurricanes getting 7.5 points from the Purdue Boilermakers. We do not say boiler up. We say it's all about the U. I think this is a perfect matchup for Miami. I don't like the fact that they were the late game last night and have to play the first game on Sunday. That doesn't seem very fair. But I think Trey Donaldson is a fantastic guard who can play physical with Braden Smith, who broke the all-time career assist record in college basketball in his most recent game. Braden Smith might be the best point guard in the nation, but he's going to have some problems with Trey Donaldson. And Trey Donaldson with Malik Renew, that's quite a combination. Miami can match the physicality of Purdue, and Purdue's known for losing games like this in round 2 of the tournament. So give me the underdog Canes plus 7.5 against Purdue. So there you go, Will. 3 underdogs. In addition to that parlay I had with Duke and Michigan State, we're on High Point plus a big number, Nebraska the money line, and we like the Miami Hurricanes against Iowa State. Your thoughts? Or against Purdue?
I'm going to join you on the High Point pick. I like
Panthers.
That. That's right. The Miami, I might go the other way. I think Purdue.
Bet on the Big Ten team, and you're going to lay
I think
points?
I might just do it. Yeah.
Okay. Halftime score, Duke 38, TCU 34. Gives us a chance to, in our studio here, turn the channel a little bit, see what's happening with the Houston Cougs, Kelvin Sampson's team. That's my national title pick. You know, you have to sweat it a little bit in March. Michigan State was a Final Four pick on my part. They got through. Right now, a slight edge for the Houston Cougars against A&M, 15-13, buckyball, and full effect for the crew from College Station. But the big news that is being discussed, North Carolina might be making a coaching change, moving off of Hubert Davis. And I've received this message a handful of times over the last 48 hours, and it is a very funny thing, Will, that part of the reason the alumni base is so upset with Hubert is how Hubert handled himself after the loss to VCU. See, this is just another example of the power, like Hubert Davis being on the hot seat. It speaks to the power of media and marketing, how you control messages. It speaks to the value of that. And it speaks to the importance of March Madness as well. Because the Tar Heels blew a 19-point lead, largest lead any team's ever blown in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and it happened on Thursday rather than Friday, you got every national show leading their programming with you and talking about your job. Stephen A. Smith's talking about North Carolina basketball. You've got all the other shows doing the same thing. Shannon Sharp's talking about you. And do you know who notices that? Donors. Do you know who notices that a great deal? Money people who seem to be driving the bus right now. And to compound the matters, okay, it's a bad loss. Hubert could not have been worse in his post-game press conference after this loss to TCU. It's so bad, CBS was smart enough to pull a compilation of it, and we'll bring that compilation to you right now.
Did you sense that your team got a little bit tired there?
I did not. I didn't.
Hubert, why did you go to just a six-man rotation in the second half?
Because that was my decision.
Coach, what do you think went wrong?
What do you mean?
Huh? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Something went wrong? What are you talking about? We have exclusive sound. Please tell me there's a chance we could replay that. Just that piece right there, Will Dalton. You being the wizard that you are when it comes to playing sounds and all these things. Like that's what I really hope for. Because the wizardry of Hubert Davis, he's playing chess while all of us are playing checkers. You asked the guy why he made a certain move, and he said, because that was my decision. Whoa! And then, again, playing chess, not checkers, asking him generally what went wrong when you blew the biggest lead that a team's ever blown in the first round of an NCAA tournament, responding with, what do you mean?
Coach, what do you
think
Hubert
went wrong? Thought that was a bar. Sincerely. I think Hubert thought, oh, this will show him. Let's make him be specific so that way I don't have to answer a question I don't really want to answer right now. That, again, so bad, it's entertaining. I don't know what my favorite answer is out of that. I think it is, what do you mean?
Coach,
But
what did you
But the part that might be better, honestly, it might be that was my decision. Because that suggests that we didn't know that. That suggests Hubert is surprised he's being tasked with that question, as if it's meant for somebody else. Like, Hubert might think, Will, that we needed a reminder that he was the one that made that decision. So, as if we were going to ask the scorers table why there were 5 or 6 guys that played for North Carolina in this game. Like, as if we were going to ask the guy in the concession stand, hey, why is North Carolina playing a 6-man rotation?
What do you mean?
As if we were supposed to ask, like, the TV commentators, hey, why is that happening? Roy, this is Hubert just letting us know. Oh, that was my decision. Oh, thanks, Coach. It's almost like you're the one sitting behind a microphone being asked these. That's why I'm asking you that. I wish somebody would have followed with, I know that's why I'm asking you this question. Because that was my decision. Duh. Why else do you think I'm asking you?
What do you mean?
Am I supposed to go to the AD? Should I go to the university president and ask why you played 6 people? Again, that is, I honestly don't know if that right there is better than because it was my decision. It fires me up. It probably is a reason why I wouldn't mind him going away.
Yep.
Because here's the other piece of this, Will. The other piece of this
All right, I'm going to step away for a second.
This is not a one-off. This is not a one-off for Hubert Davis. I would understand if you're shell-shocked. Oh, my God, we just blew a 19-point lead. I don't know what to say. I'm in shock. This is Hubert all the time.
What do you mean?
Like, that's the benefit of us. Yes, that. We've covered it in North Carolina for the better part of a decade. We've experienced it. And I'm here to tell you, the what do you mean type of answer is what you should expect. That is the normal. That's his normal pitch.
What do you
right
mean?
there. That also is his reaction when he gets the call from Lee Roberts later tonight and says, you don't have to come into work tomorrow.
What do you mean?
Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have to come into work tomorrow? It truthfully is amazing. So that's true. That's bad. It makes it worse. The other thing that I wish Carolina fans would just accept this piece and wear it, because anybody outside their bubble sees it. You know how people who might be on the outside of a relationship could see traits in you that you don't recognize yourself? Like, hey, man, you haven't gotten over that girl. Hey, man, you need to move on from this. And you need a friend to tell you. This is me telling Carolina fans, you need to accept the fact that you care about Duke. Okay? You need to accept that. Like, a big part of the reason why people want to fire Hubert Davis, North Carolina, is because they're looking at how Duke is recruiting and how Duke has been playing the last few years and how consistent John Shire has been since taking over for Mike Krzyzewski, 3 ACC titles in 4 years while Hubert Davis hasn't won one. And they're saying, why isn't that us? Why isn't that us? I sincerely believe, Will, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you're the North Carolina fan after all, that if Duke was sputtering or having similar growing pains that North Carolina's having, they're not wanting to make this change.
I don't think it's as strong of a reaction. Because with Shire taking over for Kay, they haven't missed a beat. And meanwhile, this has been going on for Carolina. So I think there would be some issues, but it wouldn't be nearly as strong of a reaction.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I feel about it. 310-840-4910. Last call for phone calls if you want in. We mentioned that Duke's at halftime up 38-34. I am Duke. Houston up 19-16. This has been a slog 10 minutes into this game. Been some video reviews and things of that nature. How is it that we're already getting set to put this show to bed? That's nuts. Will Dalton, what do we have in Put It to Bed?
Let's take it down to the Florida Walmart.
Next.
Want to be alerted for every close game or when it's going to overtime? Download the Westwood One Sports app and allow notifications. We'll alert you to turn the outside noise down and crank the game up from the Westwood One Sports app and Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We'll put it to bed momentarily before passing things off to Pete and to Ben. That'll take you until 11 p.m. Eastern time here on a Saturday. A lot of college basketball going on. Houston handling business against Texas A&M at the moment. A lot of Texas teams in action right now. TCU, the boys from Fort Worth, trailed Duke. I am Duke 38-34. And then it's an all-Texas showdown, A&M and Houston, for a right to play in H-Town in the Sweet 16 next weekend, getting the winner of Illinois and VCU. Last call for phone calls, 23108404910. Will Dalton, it feels as if we've talked exclusively college basketball this entire show, and you seem to take issue with this. Like, you haven't. Is there anything, if you were to try to talk about your beloved Shields, and talk about the NFL somehow, some way, I defy you. Tell me what you want to talk about with the NFL right now on what? March 21st.
Seattle, fifth-year option, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Devin Witherspoon got that done.
That's not a surprise in any way. They're both going to get
right
extended
on the tip of the tongue, ready to go.
Yeah, what's the take, though? Okay. You're very good at saying, there's a headline. What's the topic? Cool. We just said the headline. What's the topic?
Seattle, they're trying to make another run. Trying to catch up to the Rams, who are the favorites.
By picking up the fifth-year option of those two players? What's the alternative?
Yeah,
these are the two best players on our team.
Intact.
We're not going to pick up the fifth-year option? It'd be newsworthy. It'd be a topic if they didn't pick up the fifth-year option on one of those two guys. That's the headline. Here's a question. I think I asked this question last week, but it's compounded even more in March. Does the NBA even exist in March? Is it a thing? Are people saying, you know what I need to throw on the TV tonight? I need to make sure I see the Charlotte Hornets playing the Memphis Grizzlies. Need to throw that on the old TV.
I mean, I'm going to be watching it. By the way,
are any of these games even being nationally televised?
The Hornets games or just tonight in general?
In general, NBA. I don't think there's a nationally televised NBA game. I think you might have the NBC Sunday night basketball game tomorrow. Basketball. Minnesota and Boston. Cool.
Yeah, there's not
Who's
a
watching that
televised game tonight.
Good. Who's watching that? Sincerely.
But,
and I don't hate the NBA, but come on.
Speaking of prime time, the Hornets, their game against the Celtics, April 7th, it got flexed. It's going to be on NBC proper, buddy.
Oh.
Fire that up. 8 o'clock.
That reminds me. See, you're a Carolina Panthers fan, a lot like Luke Combs.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking with Mike Tirico sometime last year, and I assume Mike would have that call. Is it in Charlotte or in Boston? Do you know? Doesn't matter.
It's in Boston. It's in Boston.
Okay. That makes this even funnier then. So Mike Tirico has been the voice of Monday Night Football for ESPN and the voice of Sunday Night Football for NBC for the better part of the last 20 years, right? And he's been with NBC probably right before the pandemic, so like 2018, 2019 range. He was doing Monday Night Football before that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, in talking to Mike Tirico, I asked him, because we were in North Carolina, I'm like, when's the last time you called a Carolina Panthers football game? When's the last time you called one and you've been to Charlotte, North Carolina to call a game? And he sat there and he started thinking about it. He's like, I think I was still at ESPN, because you're not putting the Carolina Panthers, a team that's had a losing record every year for the last 8 seasons, on Sunday Night Football. Could you imagine? I've been waiting all day for Bryce Young's football. No, you're not. Nobody's been waiting all day to watch Bryce Young. Nobody's been waiting. I've been waiting all day to watch Teddy Bridgewater. No, the Panthers haven't been on prime time at all since he's been at NBC, which is funny in its own right. He said the last time he called the Carolina Panthers football game, 2015, the Cam Newton 15-1 Super Bowl runner-up team. That's the last time Mike Tirico called the game in Charlotte. So I just need to add that context to how sad the state of affairs being you is as a sports fan. Because you love the Panthers, you love the Hornets, so much so on a national platform. We are a national organization, Claire. That you decided that you needed to tell people that the Hornets had a game flexed, a regular season game against the Celtics. This is something you're proud of. you're proud of as a Hornets fan, while most people are listening to what you're saying, you sound like a lunatic.
It is very exciting to be a sports fan for me right now because of the Charlotte Hornets getting flexed like that. And I got a funny feeling the Panthers are going to be playing in primetime some this year too. It's great where I live.
It's so sad, man. Like, you are in shambles, and the sad part is you don't even know it. You're happy about a TV network flexing a regular season game featuring your team. That's a win for you. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Recognizing my team. That's enough for me. Sad.
Showtime Hornets.
Exclamation point. Wow. Incredible. Let's close things out by putting this show to bed. Let's put this show to bed, why don't we?
You know, a lot of interesting things happen at
Did you just say LaMelo
Walmart.
Ball there, by the way?
Yeah.
As if we don't know who's on the roster. Like, what was that for? LaMelo Ball.
Because he makes the whole thing go. The whole operation.
Give me the story.
So this story takes us to Charlotte County, Florida, where this guy got arrested because he tried to stay in the Walmart overnight and did. He pulled it off. Apparently, it was a part of a TikTok challenge. It's according to the sheriff's office there. The deputies say they responded at about 11 p.m. at night, and they were advised that there was a male in the store. He was actively live streaming this on TikTok long after business hours. And, he was going to try to stay the night. Hope to earn a little money based on the view count. Didn't work out so well. I didn't know this was a trend.
I'm a Costco man.
Same.
So that's where I do most of my shopping for
there today.
Items, miscellaneous items. You went to Costco on a Saturday afternoon? Sure, it wasn't busy at all.
Oh, it was a madhouse.
Shocker. So I realized this past week I hadn't been to a Walmart in a very long time. But I was kind of needing some motor oil for my lawnmower. And there wasn't like any of the name brand auto stores nearby. And I saw there was a Walmart. Like, let me try Walmart. So I walked in there, and surely enough, I was like, I saw the greeter. I usually never had anything to say to a greeter at Walmart ever. I'm like, do you guys have motor oil? Back and to the right. Okay. And they had options, tons of options of motor oil for my lawnmower. Got
so
that
it all
figured
worked out.
It did. But I hadn't been to Walmart in a while. And it did strike me as the type of place that if you wanted to camp out and spend a night in Walmart, you probably could. You probably could pull that off.
It actually kind of sounds fun.
No,
I'd be
it
down for it. I'd be game.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, just be by yourself in a Walmart all night long. You could explore. You could do whatever you wanted to
Explore?
Yeah.
After about 30 minutes, you can explore the store all night? What are you going to do?
So I could, like, get one of the TVs, plug that in, maybe get one of the video game consoles, and then I could make myself some chicken tenders. I'm sure they have some stored somewhere. They have good tendies in Walmart.
They probably sell microwaves.
They do. You can
They
just
have
explore everything.
That sounds horrific. But that's been the show. Good luck topping that, boys. The next 4 hours. It's what we've got here. Houston approaching halftime, leading Texas A&M 29-24. Enjoy the madness. We'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll see if there's some news on the North Carolina front regarding Hubert Davis. Love this time of year. From Kelly in Vegas and Ariel Epstein and Josh Jacobs and Will Dalton, My name's Josh Graham. And on Westwood One Sports, this has been The Josh Graham Show.